The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Dr. Chia.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, forms an integral and important part of our healthcare landscape. In recent years, both our Prime Minister and our Minister for Health have remarked on the critical role that TCM can play in improving the health of our citizens, particularly within the context of an aging population. And I too would like to put on record my appreciation to the TCM community for their contributions to Singapore's healthcare. And certainly TCM remains a medical remedy of choice for many Singaporeans. And indeed, we are also seeing a new generation of TCM practitioners, with many young Singaporeans choosing TCM as a career, particularly since the introduction of NTU's double degree program in biomedical science and Chinese medicine in 2005. The amendments to this Act, which was first passed in 2000, are timely and vital for the TCM sector to grow and achieve its true potential in providing for the healthcare needs of Singapore. I have 3 comments and clarifications for the Minister. First, the clarifications to the disciplinary framework are welcome and will certainly improve self-regulation within the TCM sector and increase public confidence and trust. Nonetheless, I am concerned that the lack of a more formal disciplinary or inquiry process and the absence of specific schedules on penalties and clear definitions of physical and mental fitness for work may lead to the same issues and criticisms that facing disciplinary processes by the Singapore Medical Council today. For instance, how robust will the renamed Inquiry Committee's decision regarding a practitioner's physical or mental fitness to practice be? This is a challenge that also Western medicine is also facing. For instance, in the United States, there was a much discussed case or incident where a senior surgeon in his early 70s, while supervising a procedure, fell asleep during the surgery. This particular surgeon was not performing the surgery itself, but concerns were raised. And there were many discussions between the board of the hospital and various committees. But the problem they faced was that it was difficult to prove fitness or unfitness from a mental or physical point of view. Just by going by normal physical and mental tests alone, he passed. The case was finally resolved by the voluntary withdrawal of the physician in question from clinical practice. But these are challenges that have no easy answers, and I would just like to find out with this inquiry committee how they will deal with such cases. And for other feedback, if there is a complaint to the Complaints Review Committee, for instance, about overcharging, how will such cases be investigated given that there are no generally agreed guidelines and the spectrum of treatments within TCM is very wide? We have heard, or I have heard, instances where the cost of TCM treatment could even reach 6 figures and maybe 5 figures in many cases. What would also be considered an acceptable treatment modality and what would not be considered an acceptable treatment modality, considering that TCM embraces a wide range of treatment philosophies and modalities, some of which may be at odds with one another. I hope that the Ministry will be able to elaborate on how the procedural aspects of these disciplinary processes can be made more robust and better able to stand up to scrutiny with these amendments. Second, the introduction of compulsory continuing professional education is certainly a step in the right direction and will help to maintain professional standards. I would like to ask how the Ministry will assist in ensuring the quality of accredited courses or programs, and also to ensure that enough of such educational activities are available and also are accessible to practitioners. There are now over 3,000 TCM practitioners, 中医师, in Singapore, but I note that close to 20% of them are inactive. If these inactive practitioners do not participate in the CPE program and do not practice, will this affect them if they decide to re-enter active practice in the future and reapply for a practicing certificate or license? Third, I note also that the maximum number of members of the TCM board will increase from 9 to 11 under the proposed amendments. I would like to ask if the Ministry would consider also increasing the minimum number of members from 5 to 7 and also mandating a higher minimum number of medical practitioners, and in particular TCM practitioners, to the board. This would allow for a greater breadth of professional medical opinion on the board. Thank you, and I support the bill.